Hello there ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news, as I've been updating you on the latest transfers and gossip of what's been going on lately. There's a few stuff to update you on today on this current video. So if you do consider subscribe, if you do want to smash that like button, please do that anytime you consider doing that. So reportedly now it's coming out in the press about Savic. I might not pronounce his name correctly. I probably spelled his name correctly wrong in the headline of the video. Savic is a player that reportedly Manchester United have been linked with. Real Madrid have been interested in him. Barcelona have reportedly been interested, and Juventus have reportedly been interested in him as well. Reportedly, he's a very good standout player for Lazio. He has been there at Lazio since 2015. Reportedly, he's very good in the air. He's a good attacking midfielder. His movement's very good. His finishing ability is absolutely fantastic as well. And reportedly last season for Lazio, he was fantastic as well. There were teams interested in the player during the course of the last summer, but reportedly I think Lazio were demanding that they wanted around £100 million for the player. But reportedly he is a very good player. Manchester United have been linked with him. Reportedly coming out in the press, we've got a bit of good news about it. Reportedly, according to the club chef, he's basically come out and he's suggested out that he's actually admitted that Milkinvovic could actually leave the club. According to the president, they're on basically Lazio are under no pressure to sanction Savic off, but reportedly the player has got a new deal with them with Lazio until 2023. So he's got a new deal with them. I think he's made over a century appearances for Lazio since like 2015, but reportedly he looks a very good player. In the been at Genk, and he's been at Volvindo when he was up the youth system with Volvindo as well. The current player, I've just looked at some of his statistics, and he looks a really good standout player. But reportedly the club chef has admitted that potentially the player could depart the club. Potentially he's never had any experience of playing in the Premier League. Potentially for me, do you think if he was to come to the Premier League, do you think he'd do very midfielder? Do you think he'd complement our midfield well, Savic, if he was to come to Old Trafford? Because obviously, Matic isn't doing well this season if he's in that midfield compared to last season. We know Mourinho has a good relationship with Matic, because obviously Mourinho's working now. The players, not satisfied with him being reluctant to drop Matic. Jose Mourinho's quite a few players unhappy with Jose Mourinho. Potentially, Matic isn't doing well. With Fellaini, basically it's static midfield, as I said, with Fellaini and Matic. You got Herrera there as well. Potentially Paul Pogba missed the Manchester derby through injury, as confirmed. He isn't back in training at the moment. Obviously, Paul Pogba had to withdraw from the France squad, and there has been potential rumours of Paul Pogba potentially going back to Juventus. From the player's perspective, he basically he's notified his Juventus players that he could leave Old Trafford, and it come from the Italian press recording that he could potentially make a return back to Juventus, and he basically did say he wanted to make a return back to Juventus and he wanted to leave Old Trafford and go back to Turin. So he would be an ideal potential replacement if Pogba was to leave the club. I can't potentially remember how old this Savic is, but reportedly the rumours are stemming now because obviously the club chef has admitted the player could leave. But potentially regarding the rumours about potentially, Paul Pogba, potentially, he did admit a couple of days or so ago that he could leave Old Trafford and go back to Juventus because he had 4 or 5 good years with Turin, won honours there, and we paid £89 million for him, and he hasn't really, done really well, since he's come to the Premier League. Paul Pogba, potentially left in 2012 because he wasn't getting enough first team action under Alex Ferguson. Was Paul Pogba, and he hasn't really established himself that well at Manchester United, and he could potentially leave. There has been rumours about it potentially. So there has been rumours about that as well. Reportedly Mourinho's going to get around 100 million in January. Would you trust Jose Mourinho with his money? Reportedly now the board are backing Mourinho. Mourinho wants to address the defensive issues. Mourinho wants to get an attacker in there as well. He has quite a lot of players. We know he's signed 11 players since he's come to a club, and he's just spent under £400 million on players. We know he's let 14 go. He's still inheriting some of the players Van Gaal got in. He's got 6 of them players Van Gaal got in. Well, Van Gaal got 12 in, but obviously 6 of them have departed. But yeah, we know there's been rumours of potentially, we've got a catalogue of players, coming to the end of the deals. As we're all aware, basically Manchester United we have to get top four this season and Champions League for next season, or it said Mourinho's job's under threat. We know he's still under serious pressure. We haven't got that many difficult games up until Christmas. But potentially, if you have been reading the transfer rumours, reportedly it said yesterday Juventus were interested in Martial. It says Chelsea were also monitoring and interested in him. And it also said Juventus were interested in Marcus Rashford as well. Martial has been in fantastic form this season, to be quite fair to him. It has confirmed he's back in training now. It confirmed he had withdrawn from the France squad as well after he'd recently been really called up to the France squad duties based on his fantastic performances. But reportedly, Man United have been in talks of signing him a new deal. He currently turned the previous offer down. We know during the course of the summer, Tottenham Hotspur were interested in Martial. I think Mourinho wants him to stay at Old Trafford. I think Martial wants to stay at Old Trafford as well. We know he's been playing mainly. He can play on the left, such as so too can Rashford, but obviously he's been playing centrally lately. Obviously due to Lukaku hasn't been playing. Obviously he came on against City, but Lukaku hasn't been in great form this season. Obviously, compared to last season, Romelu Lukaku. Potentially he had to be withdrawn from the Belgium squad as well. So it's a big if he's going to be participating in the Crystal Palace game at the weekend. Potentially, it said Man United have been in discussions with trying to secure Martial this new deal. Reportedly come out the other week saying we were going to offer him 45 million a year plus a 5-year deal. In the terms of it, it never happened. Did this? But potentially the talks at the moment aren't going successful. But reportedly Martial has not signed this new deal yet, and we know he's coming to an end of his current contract. We do have an option to put it up by a further year. I hope he does sign this new deal. But reportedly Chelsea have showed an interest in the player. It says Juventus have showed an interest in Anthony Martial as well. The player who we've had since 2015. I think we just paid under £60 million for him from Monaco in 2015. So he has been here now like 4 years as Anthony Martial. But potentially for me, I hope he does sign this new deal. Reportedly, Chelsea are maybe showing an interest for him in January. It says Chelsea could will to offload one of their players to get Martial at Chelsea. I can't see Man United willing to offload a player to an arch rival, but I just don't want Martial to go full stop because he's a good young age talent. He is only young, and he will grow and develop more, just like Marcus Rashford will as well. And you heard the rumours about potentially Juventus being linked with Marcus Rashford the other day. It come out in the press that reportedly Juventus were interested in him. But during the international break, Gareth Southgate seems to be getting the best out of the Manchester United players than Mourinho. Basically, the Gary Neville and Graham Souness was discussing is Mourinho getting the best out of these players, and that was on the Sky Sports debate. But potentially Marcus Rashford, who's a good young age talent, he's been at Manchester United since like the age of 7 years old. He's been a Manchester United player. As Rashford, also scoring on his League Cup, scoring his first goal in the League Cup, scoring his first goal in Champions League, scoring his on his first team debut, his first 2 goals against Midtjylland in the Europa League, scoring his first 2, scoring twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal as well, scoring in his first Manchester derby, scoring on his international debut for England in 2016 as well. But Rashford is a very, very good player. According to the press, he's injured for some reason. I don't think he's back in training at the moment. I just looked at that. It just said underneath his name that Rashford was injured, but he's still a very, very good player. He hasn't been to his potential level this season because Martial's been ahead of him this season, because we know Martial's been in better form. He's been better than Marcus Rashford this season. We know Rashford scored the winner against Bournemouth, but potentially Juventus have reportedly showed an interest. That was coming from the Times. Juventus were currently interested in signing Marcus Rashford, but I can't see Man United willing to offload him off because he's been Manchester United player since like the age of 7. Reads up the ranks, fantastically well, Marcus Rashford. But potentially, as I did say to you on my video yesterday, we do potentially need another left winger. We've got 2 young uns. We've got Sanchez, but he hasn't delivered the goods since he's come to Manchester United, and he has only been here since January. Like a more experienced winger on that left-hand side, with more experience. And as I said, we've got Marshall and Rashford there on you, and I think we need a more experienced winner. Reportedly, we've had some good news, as I updated you yesterday, about Ivan Perisic. According to the press, Inter Milan are willing to sanction him off for around £31 million. I think they're £31 million. Ivan Perisic is a player that Man United, Ed Woodward had been in discussions with Inter Milan last summer over this. Man United were really heavily linked with the player, Ivan Perisic. Reportedly, we had a couple of bids rejected, but reportedly Inter Milan were demanded that they wanted £48 million in the region, and Man United were reluctant to pay £48 million for Ivan Perisic. This is why a deal never got materialised for Perisic, and his performances for Inter Milan have been very impressive. I think he's been at Inter Milan since like 2015. As the current player, he's been at Inter Milan since 2015. Also in the past, he's been at Club Brugge. He won Belgian top scorer there, and he won Belgian Football of the Year. He's been at Borussia Dortmund where he won honours there. He won honours at Wolfsburg as well, and now he's at Inter Milan. I think he's been at Inter Milan since now 2015. He has a lot of respect for Luca Spelta, because him and currently Inter Milan's manager have a good bond together. He'd be very beneficial. I think he'd dramatically improve Manchester United squad, because he's very experienced. I think he's about 29, as I said. He can play as an attacking mid, he can play as a winger, and he can play as a second striker as well. And potentially, I think he'd be good on that left wing. But with his versatility as well, he would be beneficial to come to Manchester United. He's very good for Croatia, as well as Ivan Perisic. But he is a very good high experienced player. But reportedly, Manchester United could potentially make a move for him in January or next summer. But reportedly, Inter Milan are willing to sanction him off £31 million, and I think Man United will be prepared to pay £31 million. I said last summer he wasn't worth £48 million. Ivan Perisic, he's a good player, but I said he's potentially not a world-class player. But I think he'd be very beneficial on that left-hand side indeed, because I think it still needs addressing. We know Sanchez's versatility is good. He plays on the left mainly, but obviously he hasn't delivered the goods since he's come to Old Trafford. He's only scored 4 goals since he's come. There's been rumours him potentially going to PSG. PSG were linked to him last year. He could potentially leave he could leave next summer, he could leave in January, so he could be gone within the next 12 months, because I just think he feels unhappy in the Manchester United era. He's unhappy with Jose Mourinho's managerial style, he's unhappy with Jose Mourinho's, style of play. I don't think he seems happy here, was Alexis Sanchez. He was good he's proven in the Premier League, because he was good during his Arsenal days with Arsene Wenger, and he was good in Spain with Barca, he was good in Italy with Udinese, but he just hasn't done it since he's come to Old Trafford, and he's currently receiving $500,000 a week as a player, and he has only been here since January. So potentially, I'd take Ivan Perisic. I'd love Ivan Perisic United, to be fair. But I think we need an attacker, as a backup option, definitely for Romelu Lukaku. I really would like him. Basically, we have to spend, to compete with the big team, because we're nowhere near on the same levels as the big teams at the moment. We're nowhere near on the same level as Chelsea. We're nowhere near on the same level as Liverpool. We're nowhere near on the same level as Man City. Potentially, Man City are the best team in English football, let's be honest, but Mourinho's admitted before we have to spend, especially, to compete with the European teams, we have to spend more money. We've spent £1 billion in all managerial areas. We've had since Ferguson retired, we've had different managers, different styles of play, and different philosophies as well. And Mourinho, hasn't done it at Manchester United so far. This is his 3rd season. He hasn't emulated the football, he's done in the past, Jose Mourinho. But, do you think he can turn it around at Manchester United? This is his 3rd season now. It's basically like year 1 again. He's sanctioned players off. He's got players in. And just basically, it hasn't worked out for some reason. And that's a shame. Also, if you've been reading the latest news about Lorenzo Pellegrini as well, he's also an attacking mid, also can play as central midfield as well. I think he's only 22 years of age. He said Man United were looking to pay his 27 million release clause in January and double his salary. Reportedly, according to the player's representatives and his agent, according to them, he says he's happy in Rome. So basically, he's put cold water on the speculation. So he says he's happy in Rome, and he says he doesn't want to go to Manchester. So basically, the agent says he won't be coming to Manchester United. But reportedly, it says Man United were looking to activate his 27 million release clause. The player, he's a player that's, as I said, he's been at Roma for the majority of his career. Roma are hoping to sign him a new deal. He graduated from their youth system, Roma's. He's been at Saluzzo for a short period of time. At the player, but he's been at Roma the majority of his career. Man United had been in discussions with representatives, but according to his agent, he's happy in Roma, so I doubt that's potentially going to happen. What's stemming from his agent, I doubt that's going to happen. But Manchester United have been linked to him as well. Potentially, that Man United have been linked with quite a few centre backs, as we're all aware. Man United have been linked with centre backs. It mentioned Kalou a bit, that Napoli full centre back. He can also play as a left back. He can also play as a defensive midfielder as well. Reportedly, according to the press, Man United put around the £77-80 million bidding for the player, as I said. I don't really know much of him. I never know he's been proven in the Premier League because he's never played in the Premier League. He's played for Genk and he's played for Genk and Metz as the player. I've just remembered what teams he played for. Reportedly, he's mainly a centre back though. Reportedly, just been nominated African Player of the Year. I don't really know much of him, but reportedly, Manu have been linked with a player. I think he's got a contract with them. I think he's just signed a new contract recently with Napoli as the player as well. But he's also a player that Manchester United have been linked to. I think it's beneficial to get a young centre back. Rather than an older one, so you obviously get more years out of him. We know potentially Manchester United, so he's been in Italy now about 4-5 years, something like that, but we know potentially Man United have been linked to a likes of Diego Godin and Toby Alderweireld. Man U have been linked with them as well. Man United could actually potentially go for Toby Alderweireld January. It says Man United were willing to offer him a cut price deal, according to the press. Reportedly, Ed Woodward had been in discussions during the course of last summer of potentially getting him. Tottenham were demanding an extortionate £60 million for Alderweireld. Man United were reluctant to pay that kind of money for Toby Alderweireld. Man United were reluctant to pay that money for him, so this is why a deal never materialised for Toby Alderweireld. Ed Woodward had been in discussions with Tottenham during the course of last summer. Man United are aware Toby Alderweireld is available for like 25 million next summer, because that's obviously his 25 million release clause. Is Toby Alderweireld. He can play as centre back. He can play as a left back as well. Can the player, but potentially Manchester United have been linked to, so we could get a cut price deal for him in January, so Tottenham would have a cash bit more money in rather than let him go cheaper next summer. He's a player that's proven in the Premier League as well. He's been at Ajax in the past, where he's up Southampton. He's been at Atletico Madrid, where he won title with them in his first season and got to the final with Atletico Madrid, and won 3 Eredivisie titles with Ajax as well. Jose Mourinho's been satisfied with his performances, when he's been monitoring, when he's been watching him. That Jose Mourinho's been very, very happy with his performances. We know we've heard the rumours about Diego Godin coming to Old Trafford. He's a player that's been at Villarreal in the past 3 years. Now he's at Atletico Madrid. I think he's been at Atletico Madrid about 8 or 9 years now. He's won about 7 honours as a player. So he's highly experienced in Spain. I think he's coming to an end of his current deal. Atletico Madrid want to secure him a new deal with the club. Reportedly, he has around a 20 million release clause, does Diego Godin. But Man United reportedly renewed their interest, so that come out in the press the other day. And to be quite fair, Manchester United, Mourinho said he wants to get rid of Bailey, who can't get into the starting 11 at the moment. He said he wants to get rid of Marcus Rojo. For me, hasn't been the same player since the Anderlecht game. And potentially for me, Darmian, he's coming to an end of his current deal as well at Manchester United. Reportedly, there's a few Italian teams interested in him. He's played for the Italian team in the past with Torino. According to Mourinho wants him to stay at least until the end of the season. But reportedly from Damian's perspective, I think he wants to leave because obviously he can't get into the starting 11 at the moment. Potentially we know Luke Shaw has been potentially playing there this season. Didn't get much game time last season. Obviously Luke Shaw due to had disputes with Mourinho. Obviously Mourinho's had disputes with Paul Pogba as well. Like, as I said, according to Raiola, their relationship is mended now, but he's linked with a move back to Juventus. But yeah, we've got a lot of players coming to the end of the deals. As I said, as I do keep mentioning to you on my live videos, and reportedly I've got a bit of early team news for the Manchester United Crystal Palace game. Reportedly Luke Shaw suspended. Reportedly, good news is Martial's back in training because I think he suffered an injury during internationally. Obviously got withdrawn from the France squad. Did the player? So too did Paul Pogba, but it's confirmed he's not back in training. So hopefully Paul Pogba's going to be back. I think Lindelof has a slight injury as well, but I think Lindelof's okay now. I think Lindelof's improved, to be fair, this season. You know, Mourinho's been mainly going with Lindelof and Small as a centre-back partnership this season. It also, I think Valencia could be back as well because he hasn't played for Manchester United for quite a while. Obviously, our most central right back, Man United have been talking about him 1 year deal. Potentially, you know, he has been putting Ashley Young at that full back position due to Dylet's absence and due to Valencia hasn't been playing, as we all know. So potentially, yeah, Ashley Young's more of a right wing, as I've always said, but obviously Mourinho just prefers him as a right back. Obviously, you know, for England players as right wing, during his Villa days played as right wing, as I do keep saying. But obviously, you know, Mourinho prefers him as right back. Potentially, we've got good news. Valencia could be coming back. It says Dyler, one of our summer signings, could be back in the team as well. It's confirmed Dyler has been seen training, so Dyler is back in training now. So for me, if I was Jose Mourinho, I'd potentially give Dyler the chance as well. He's back in training. It's confirmed. Valencia could be back. It says Rashford's injured as well. I think the injury's unknown at this moment, but obviously more things will update about that. Reportedly Luke Shaw suspended, as I said. So potentially, hopefully, it says Paul Pogba's not back in training as yet. Obviously, he missed the Manchester derby. It says Martial's back in training. That's good to see. Dyler is back in training, which is good news because Dyler hasn't played for a while. Valencia could be back, it said as well. From Palace's perspective, they've got quite a lot of injuries, to be quite fair. Christian Benteke is out apparently till early January for them. Christian Benteke is out till early January for Crystal Palace. I think Scott Dan's out as well for Palace. James Tompkins, I think, is out as well. I think Wilfred Zaha may not be featuring. I don't know. He may not be featuring. Scott Dan's out. I think Zaha will be playing. Connor Wickham's also out as well. Scott Dan, as I mentioned, and Christian Benteke. You've got Saka as well. They've got a few players out of Crystal Palace for the game. At the weekend, Crystal Palace, obviously, Manchester United have to win this game, as we all know. We're 12 points from top. We're 7 points behind top 4. Crystal Palace are currently just above the relegation zone on goal difference. They're currently winless in their last 7 games. Crystal Palace, they've only won 2 games all season. They've won 2 games all season, won 2, drawn 2, and lost 8. So they've lost 8 of their first 12 games this season of Crystal Palace, so they're not in potentially, you know, good form. Potentially, we have got a fantastic record against Crystal Palace. You know, there's been last 12 meetings, Man U have won 10, there's been 1 drawn, we've lost 1. We haven't lost to Crystal Palace in all competitions, I think, since 2011. You know, when they currently beat us in the League Cup. That's the last time I think Crystal Palace beat us. That's when it was in the League Cup. You know, last season we beat them 4-0 at home, 3-2 away. We was 2-0 down in that game, but we came back to win 3-2. You know, Matic scoring that. I think it was Matic who scored that free kick against Crystal Palace. But potentially for me, it should be an easy Manchester United win. But yeah, Mourinho's got to get the team selection right. I think you need to start Mata, probably start Sanchez, give Fred a chance in that midfield, or even give Pereira a chance in that midfield. he potentially, needs to drop Nemanja Matic, in my opinion. Definitely needs to drop him. Whether Jose Mourinho will or not, according to what I said a few weeks ago, he was reluctant to drop Nemanja Matic. Whether he does or not, I do not know. But I think he just needs dropping, based on his performances this season. I was saying about Lukaku. I don't know if he's going to be fit for Crystal Palace as well. He had to be withdrawn from the Belgium squad as well, did Romelu Lukaku, and he hasn't been in a fantastic form this season as well. So what do you think to the Milkinvovic Savic situation? I'm going to go through with it again with you guys. He's got a deal to 2023. According to the president of Lazio, they're not in any under pressure of sanctioning him off. According to the club chef, they've admitted Milkinvovic could leave Lazio. He's a midfielder. Reportedly, he's a very, very good attacking midfielder. He's got fantastic finishing ability as well. Reportedly, his performances for Lazio have been very, very good. He has been at Lazio since 2015. He's risen up the ranks of Vojavinda. He was in the youth system. He's been at Genk in the past, and now he's been at Lazio since like 2015 as a player. But reportedly, there's a few teams interested. There's Madrid interested in him. There's Barca interested in him. And there's reportedly, it's mentioned Juventus are interested in him as well. So that's according breaking news about that. But obviously during the summer they couldn't sanction him off Lazio due to that. They were demanding an extortion around £100 million for the player. The teams that were currently interested in were reluctant to pay that much for the player. So potentially it's come out in the news that the transfer is back on now. So that's good news to hear as well. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and I will be back maybe later on with some more live videos coming up. So anyway, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below as I said, and take care. God bless, guys, and thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.